Google Insights for Search is a free tool provided by Google that allows you to look at the search terms people are using and the trends related to them search terms. So for example, if we wanted to see accommodation Dublin, if people were searching for this term, we can see is the number of searches increasing or decreasing. This is very useful from our point of view from our own website, so we know what keywords we should focus on our website, so we start appearing higher within Google when people do searches. So let's take a look at the insights for search. So in insights here, you put in a search term. So say for example, we think one of the search terms people are searching on is cheap accommodation. So put that in. Now we can put in multiple search terms, so let's put in a couple more. So we do hotel special deals. We'll put in last minute deals. And we'll put in cheap hotels Dublin. So we have our facility in Dublin. We want to see if these are the keywords people are using. Now on the right hand side you can set a filter search. So here is a full web search, but you can say for example for images only show searches for images related to these terms, or news or products. So let's leave it as a full web search. Within here you can break down in terms of do you want this search for worldwide or specific country. So let's for example pick Ireland. So you're only interested in people searching within Ireland. And here you can say what's the date range you want to assess these searches. So for example we do up until 2009, or this is for 2009. And then we can specify categories. Categories allows us to pick if you only want it in a particular industry. So for example, let's say that, leave it at that at the moment, all categories. So we'll run a search. Okay, so this is the trend over time for these keywords. So you want to see is it increasing or decreasing? Now you can see this one, the color represents the colors here on the left hand side here, the blue, red, yellow and green for each area up here. So we take a look, say for example the yellow here is last minute deals. It went up a lot in July 2009, now it's starting to go down and it's starting then to go back up again. And you can see the green line, which is quite interesting as well, is cheap hotels Dublin is going up as well. Whereas if you go down further here you can see there's a slight increase for hotel special deals, but not the same as cheap hotels Dublin. So this makes me think that although maybe you may not like using cheap within your website, within one of your web pages you may have some information about your hotel and reference cheap hotels Dublin, the keywords within that, because you know more and more people are searching on that. So it's important to make sure whatever you're doing is related to what people are searching for, not necessarily what you think are the best keywords for yourself. Now if we go down here further, we'll see the regional interest for each of the terms. So this is for cheap accommodation. We can change this. And cheap accommodation, you can see there's a lot of interest in terms of Dublin. And it doesn't have a breakdown by other counties. That doesn't necessarily mean that nobody is searching, it just means the volume has been higher in Dublin. So if I go hotel special deals, you can see it's quite similar there as well. Now what's more interesting, if I go down here and look for the top searches. So the top searches for cheap accommodation are cheap accommodation Dublin, cheap accommodation London, cheap accommodation Galway. So these are people that are in Ireland and they were searching for cheap accommodation in London. But you can see cheap accommodation in Dublin is quite high. So if we're in Dublin, I'm going to search for this term or make sure I index on this term. And over the right hand side you see rising searches. So cheap accommodation London is a rising search. So again, this is people in Ireland search for accommodation in London. But let me see now, if I go cheap hotels Dublin. Okay, so I can see the largest search term is hotels in Dublin. Then hotel Dublin, cheap hotels Ireland. So I will start making sure that on my website for these terms that I have web pages and that mention these keywords, and I mention them several times just to make sure I have a better chance being indexed on Google. Now on the right hand side you can see D4 hotels is a 350% rise. Now for example, maybe you don't run D4 hotels, but you could mention D4 hotels in one of your websites saying we offer a better deal than D4 hotels. So it's different ways of just trying to encourage that traffic from Google. You can see cheap holidays due to the environment we're in. There is a big increase in people looking for cheap holidays, and Bewley's Hotel was the third one. So that's really Google Insights. It's a very useful tool just for assessing the trends over time for different keywords, and it being quite valuable as well if you can look at these keywords and then make sure within your website you include the appropriate keywords to ensure you're getting more and more traffic. Thank you very much.